Idaho Business Podcast, the only Idaho podcast focused on providing profits for Idaho people. If you love our state and love small business, you are in the right place. We interview local legends, learn business, and have way too much fun doing it. You're listening to the Idaho Business Podcast with your friend, host, and all-around great guy and owner of New Clean Commercial Cleaning, Spencer Ward.
All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Idaho Business Podcast. I am joined with a longtime friend, Jeff Duffin from Aberdeen, Idaho. This guy is born and raised in Aberdeen. Grew up in a big farming family. So this is our first agricultural business guest, and I'm super excited about it because I actually grew up in Aberdeen. Believe it or not, Jeff was actually one of my Sunday school teachers back in the day. He had to rough me up a little bit to get me to pay attention here and there. So
tough job. Somebody had to do it.
That's right. So Jeff grew up in Aberdeen, attended Aberdeen High School, went to a few years in Ricks College, played some football up there, and came back to Aberdeen and started in the agricultural business. And now he manages Sun River of Idaho, potato warehouse in Aberdeen, and he is owner of 3D Farms in Idaho and Aberdeen. So, Jeff, thanks for coming on the show and welcome.
Yeah, glad to be here. It's a new experience for me to be on a podcast. Glad you invited me on.
Awesome. Well, Jeff, tell us something, maybe a little known fact or something interesting about yourself before we get this thing rolling.
As far as Aberdeen, you brought up growing up in Aberdeen. I'm personally fourth generation Aberdeen. My wife's fifth generation Aberdeen, so our roots run pretty deep over here. And like I said, manage a potato fresh packing plant. And in my spare time, I'm the head football coach.
Awesome. Very cool. In Aberdeen back in the day, we were not anything to write home about when it came to football. But slowly but surely, we've turned into one of the powerhouses over there for our size.
Yeah, and you guys were the beginning of turning the corner. You guys did good. If all my linemen were as big as you, would be winning championships.
My wife wishes I wasn't as big right now, but anyways,
that's just the way it goes as we get older.
That's right.
If all my linemen could put on weight as easy as I can right now, it wouldn't be a problem.
That's exactly right. Okay. Well, Jeff, so you came back from Ricks College, you came back into Aberdeen. How did you get in business of managing the potato warehouse? And maybe where did it go from there when you got back?
So when I got back, I just started working on the family farm with my dad and brothers. And then my dad wanted to start up a potato fresh packing plant. So he bought a piece of ground in Aberdeen, an old potato starch plant that was actually built back in the 40s.
Wow.
And got to admit, when I first went in there with him and looked at it, I thought maybe he'd lost his mind because there was pigeons flying everywhere and bird crap and old tanks. And it was quite a build it from scratch project. But so I spent most of a summer and fall working with the crew out of Washington and helped put the warehouse together. And then we started what was called Duffin Potato originally back in January of 1991. Mm-hmm. And then it changed the center of Idaho in 1996 when we took on some potato partners.
Okay. Awesome. How many partners currently are in that in the business?
So currently they're just Lance Funk Farm is currently the majority shareholder of Sun River.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, that's awesome. What's one of your favorite parts about being in the potato and agricultural business?
Working with the people is always good. It's given me an opportunity to meet a lot of different people, a lot of different areas, from our customers, go back to the East Coast, to all the different potato farmers and the different people in the potato industry. When I was just on the farm, it didn't expose me as much to all aspects of the business. So that's what I've enjoyed the most.
I like that. What's one of the biggest mistakes you've made in business? We've all made them, but what's one of your biggest ones?
You know, there's so many.
That's what we all say, for sure.
You know, one of the, just looking back over the years, boy, I don't know how to single out the single biggest mistake. I have one piece of equipment that I regret buying that never worked as well as it was represented. Um, but you know, you just kind of roll with it. We've had some good deals and bad deals, and I don't know if I could specifically nail down what I would tag as my biggest one.
Sure. No, that's valid for sure. You know, that stuff happens, and you have to be able to pivot and continue to learn from those mistakes and try not to get back to them, I guess. So
you always got to be looking out the windshield, not looking in the rearview mirror.
That's right. That's right. So with this climate, you know, we're not a political podcast, but with all the craziness going on in the world with COVID and everything else, how is that affecting the agricultural businesses?
You know, last year, you know, when COVID first hit and all the shutdowns took place, we ship a lot of retail and food service. We box our potatoes in boxes for food service. We sell a lot of 5 and 10 pound poly and mesh bags into the grocery stores. So when the food service business shut down, or when all the restaurants shut down, it heavily affected our industry. And we were right in the middle of what would have historically been one of the shortest potato crops maybe in history. And then the COVID hit and it slowed everything down to a halt almost. And it cost our growers in Southeast Idaho tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars last year, for sure.
Holy smokes. Wow. Yeah, that's sickening to think how much this has affected all the businesses. But it's interesting to see how, because we, on our level, just as normal people in the city, we see, the restaurants are affected, but they don't fully, if you follow that chain all the way back, they don't realize, like, wow, the restaurants, are just a endpoint for some of these supplies. So yeah, you guys.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we felt it. I mean, we sell a lot of customers that sell, like, for instance, hash browns into the Las Vegas market for all those casinos and everything. When all those casinos shut down, I mean, they called us and immediately started, canceling 15, 20 loads a week coming out of Idaho that they just simply didn't need because they couldn't ship them. A lot of the restaurant customers, and we felt like we did feel a shift that went a little heavier to retail, but it wasn't necessarily a one-to-one shift. It definitely overall cut our consumption way down, and ultimately ended up really hurting the price. And a lot of our farmers got cut on their contracts from the French fryers because they were uncertain of their volume that they were going to be selling. So yeah, for the agriculture industry last year, it cost our farmers in this area a lot of money. People probably don't really realize how much it really cost us.
Yeah, that's crazy. At the beginning of 2020, though, like you said, it was a short potato season. So, I could be wrong, but weren't there some restaurants, like big franchises, that were thinking, I don't think we have enough potatoes to fulfill the whole year before COVID hit?
Yeah. Going before COVID hit, we were in very much a shortage situation, and the prices were escalating, and it was going to be a good year, which our farmers really needed. I mean, exactly. That's something that people probably really don't fully realize, that there's been hundreds of millions of dollars pumped out of Southeast Idaho in equity and farmland. That farmers, it all looks great from the outside, like, oh, look, they're driving their fancy pickup and they got the nice big tractors and everything. Look how much money they're making. In fact, it's been really a tough deal the last 5 to 10 years. And there's been a lot of farms refinanced, a lot of farms sold, and to get working capital back into their operations. So it isn't quite as good as it looks from the outside.
Sure.
And the trend needs to change, because it's going to hurt our economy here in Southeast Idaho.
Interesting. Well, that's interesting. And it's also sad that, that all these companies were affected, all the way up and down the supply chain. So.
Yep.
Well, were there any new opportunities that came out of the COVID shutdowns or anything? Any other avenues that came available for maybe different agricultural products throughout this thing?
There was different government programs to help with the food box program. Really helped us
Yeah.
out, and kept potatoes moving. That went to food banks and stuff to where they were lining up to where people could come and get food.
Sure.
And those were big deals. I mean, when the restaurant industry pretty much came to a halt and we were needing to still sell potatoes, that was a big deal for our industry last year. Was to help with those food bank orders and ship it out for the people in the food banks to keep people fed while they were being kept in their homes.
Yeah, that's at least they had something rolling there for sure. So most people probably don't realize it, but these potatoes they just can't sit in the cellar for years on years. These things
They're
gotta move.
perishable
That's
commodity.
right.
They got a clock
That's
on
right.
them.
Exactly. Okay, that's interesting. You probably don't know. Well, maybe you do, but on the sugar aspect, on the sugar beets and stuff, I'm guessing also took the same type of turn as potatoes, right?
Actually, I think the sugar demand actually stayed pretty good, and our sugar company's
Okay.
been pretty profitable. And I actually think the price of sugar actually went up.
Oh, interesting.
That so it actually was okay through that, which is a
Okay.
huge help for especially the growers in the Aberdeen, American Falls, Burley area where they have a lot of sugar beets. That was a huge help to offset the other losses.
Interesting. Well, good. Well, good. Well, Jeff, I forgot to mention in the beginning because I was excited to talk to you, but we have some sponsors, and I need to mention one now before we continue. But we are sponsored by Dell's Outdoor Advertising, and they work with digital and traditional billboards. And if any of you guys listening now needs to provide some more awareness to your potential customers, give Rob a call over there at Dell's Outdoor Advertising. If you sign up for 3 months and you mention the podcast, they'll give you your first month for free or your installation for free. So that is our podcast sponsor number one. Now that we're moving into the lightning round towards the end here, Jeff, the lightning round is typically sponsored by Sensations. So if you need to get that bohemian glow, maybe a massage.
Get the shine taken off.
That's right. My wife's bringing me to Mexico on Saturday, and she's like, you need to stop being so transparent. So maybe you should go over there. So you need to go to Sensations. So
there you go. There's my excuse.
That's right. So there'll be some deals coming up. It's a new sponsor, so stay tuned for that. Those that are listening, and I'm sure we'll have some good deals popping up with Sensations Med Spa. So, Jeff, is there maybe a favorite book or slash tool or software you use that you've enjoyed that makes things easier or just enlightened you in the last year or so?
In the last year or so, honestly, a lot of the books that I've read are more based around leadership with that apply to not only the foot or to the business, but to football and life. So
that's great.
The best book I just read was The Captain Class.
Okay.
And
remember that.
And it's all about the greatest sports teams in history and what made them great and the captains that were on those teams and why they were so instrumental. So highly recommend it.
Oh, okay, awesome. I always like to ask that question because that spurs my ongoing reading for what I'm going to be going after. So I like it.
You'd enjoy that one. It's a good one.
If you're in the sports thing, you probably already read this one, but Shoe Dog by Phil Knight.
I haven't read that one.
The owner of Nike. It tells his entire story. Love Nike or hate Nike at this point. The story is still remarkable, and it was probably one of the best books I've read for a long, long time. So
I'll put that on my list.
It's a good one. So that's one of my favorites. So, Jeff, you've already talked about a few of these, but maybe what's one of the biggest myths about your industry that people should know about?
The biggest myths of our industry?
Yeah. Or just myth, whatever you want, or doesn't matter how many.
Well, I mean, I guess I'd just give a good plug for Idaho potatoes. I mean, the Idaho potato is just a phenomenal product. I mean, it's one of the most recognizable brands all around the world. And the russet Burbank Idaho potato is a phenomenal potato. So I guess rather than call it a myth, I'm gonna reaffirm
There
the
you go.
greatness of the Idaho potato,
It is.
and that if we need to sustain life, you could live on potatoes, and it
That's
has
true.
more vitamin C than an orange, and lots of potassium, and I mean it's a great product. People need to eat more of them.
I love it. I love it. So what as we're ending here, maybe two more questions here. What's some of the maybe your best advice you'd give the audience about business based upon your experience?
Surround yourself with good people. I
Okay.
mean, you just cannot underestimate good people. And what I've found is when you find the good ones, they're worth paying double the average person, because they just get things done. And I've always looked for and admired the people that are problem solvers. And so I try to surround myself with people that if they come to me with a problem, they also come to me with a couple of suggestions on how to solve the problem. Because people that can tell me problems that come are a dime a dozen. We can all find
Yeah.
problems, but it's the problem
Yeah.
solvers that are the people that have real value. So
I love it.
there's my advice: surround yourself with good people.
Yeah, that's key. That is huge. Perfect. Well, what was one question I should have asked that I didn't?
I don't know. Is Aberdeen going to win the state championship in football next
Hey,
year?
that's a good one right there.
Dang
Are
right.
you looking good this year?
We're going to be good.
Okay.
So watch out for the Tigers.
That's right.
I'm always
I love
positive.
it. I love it. Well, perfect. I appreciate you coming, Jeff. And if your business isn't really consumer based, but for the people out there, wanting to support the agricultural businesses, you just need to go to your local restaurants, order up those supersized fries, and
Or just, even if you don't eat them, just buy them and eat them and throw them in the garbage. You don't just consumption, baby. Just eat them. Order
consumption.
them.
It's right. And go and get those potatoes, and just keep supporting our markets as best as we can, because we think about our restaurants, but we need to continue to think about people below not below, but throughout the supply chain. So
Yeah, we need the farmers to keep feeding our country for sure.
exactly. Well, Jeff, I appreciate you coming on the show today. So thanks for being a guest. Really appreciated it.
Yeah, thanks for thinking of me, Spencer. Good
Yeah.
to see you doing good. It's a good deal.
Appreciate it. Thank you. And then all those that are listening, continue to rate and subscribe. And if you want to be a guest on the show, go to the idahobusinesspodcast.com, and you can schedule yourself on an episode, and we can have some fun on another episode. So until then, we'll see you all later.
Congratulations on spending a couple of minutes getting a little bit smarter, having some fun, and supporting the Idaho business community. If you're feeling the love, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you are.